We spoke about ascension symptoms last time and the time before, and it's a continuation because we're going to speak about a few more today. But, I was sitting watching nature this morning before we started. It's lovely to check in early and to know that everything is functional and ready. And also sometimes people want to test and they want to check in a bit early, and then there is someone on the other side. It doesn't say wait till the host lets you in because it irritates me so when I get that message. That's why I'm so glad that GoTo is a platform that is much more user friendly. So I'm sitting and I'm watching nature out there, and there's a particular tree in the garden that Sonia gifted me. It's called a pom-pom tree. And if I remember correctly, she said it was one of her mother's most favorite trees. And it grows into a massive big tree. But this one is still small. But I've had it for a few years, but it grows very slowly. So it's not a fast growing thing. So I'm sitting watching this tree. You know that I water it every time I fill up the bird bath, which is probably when it's not raining every day, every second day, depends on the level of evaporation. So I'm watching, and then I always water it, but it's got nothing on it. It's just stark sticks, and there's nothing. It's just looks like it's dead. And then the rains come, and literally the day after it rained, that entire dead stick-looking tree is covered in leaves. It is the most beautiful thing to see. It's not about the water. It waits for the rain, and it will not shoot those new leaves out of that tree before it hasn't rained. Now, if that's not a special relationship, then I don't know. Because I've watched it for several years now. It's not a coincidence, and it's not just a fluke. That little tree waits until it rains, and until it rains, it will not start growing. It's in a homeostasis, like, hibernation mode. Nothing's working. It was watching the hen when she was sitting on the eggs as well. She goes into a complete trance state. It's the most amazing thing to see what nature can do. And the story this morning reminded me of that. The miracle of union, of a connectedness between everything. Because how does that stark little tree know that it must wait for the rain? Otherwise it might be a drought and then it can't grow. So when the rains come, that's its permission to grow. And I wonder, if I look at the axiom as above, so below, how much that affects us and how that can be applicable to our life. Because nature always has a message. Oh, but I need to just quickly share this with you. I was having this, or I am having this recurring dream about Boston and being in the USA. And I'm traveling the entire USA. I'm supposed to be there on work, but I'm just holidaying, just having a job. I eventually can't even remember when I'm supposed to come home. But I'm constantly looking for Boston, Boston, Boston. Or I've got to get to Boston. So in this dream, it's always about Boston. I can't remember the details around it, but it's always about Boston. So I'm in the shop the other day and I'm just looking through the things because I love cotton, 100% cotton clothing. It's very nice to wear. And I pull off this thing and as I open this shirt on the rail, it says Boston. I nearly fainted. So needless to say, I just had to buy it because when synchronicity starts talking to you, then you have to listen. So there was Boston in Mr. Price on the rail. Yes, Boston. So let's start the session this morning. I'm talking too much. So all I can say is that perhaps when we look at the word ascension, we mustn't attach it to a way of being. We must look at it as the natural process that is instilled in us in a place that being human cannot touch. So you've got to reconnect with that part of you that's like this tree. It just has a knowingness about the way that things work. And when you can connect with that within yourself, it's not a right way or a wrong way. It's not a best way or a not so best way. It's so difficult with semantics to describe it. But it's just a connectedness that is so profound that life just becomes this wonderful adventure, even if it feels like you want to faint when it happens at times. Cancel that thought. It was just so astounding. My body went into complete shock because we're not used to pleasant surprises. We really are not. And we always look ahead for things to go wrong and to challenge us and to, it's load shedding and it's because we are scheduled to have load shedding this morning and it's this and it's that. And I mean, my gosh, I took my rubbish bin in last night at 6:15 in the evening. And as truth God, they collected the rubbish at 9:20 last night. I've never had rubbish collected at 9:20 in my entire life. But it never happens the way you think. So, and they waited because apparently they're now asking for Christmas from everyone. So the truck waited and they were whistling for me to come out with my bin. And I just didn't go. I just decided in my rebelliousness, there's no ways you're going to force me to go outside when I am already locked up and ready to go to bed. Or at least I was working on Energizer for today. But I wasn't going to be manipulated like that. So let's continue because I want to talk about manipulation today. So and my rebelliousness is costing me because the rubbish hasn't been collected for 3 weeks. My bin is smelling like a mortuary that's got several dead bodies in it because that unfortunately is the case because I've got a little dog that catches mice. So now welcome this morning, and I want us to start with permission for exciting things to happen. Exciting permission. I don't know. I give myself permission to receive my highest good. But with that, I want to deliver it with pleasant surprises and with excitement and things that just makes me feel so about life. That feeling of everything's just good, nice. Nipsey always has a way of saying, this is so good. I always think of Nipsey when I say this is so good. I want us to live there. So if we're going to recap of the previous session, we basically just went through the signs of ascension. And ascension is ideally a form of expansion, of getting your greatness expanding, of growth, of evolution. Ascension is a process in which what is here becomes more. So it's like the ripples. It becomes more and more and more and more and more ad infinitum. So that's really how it works. It becomes more and more and more until it finds something that contains it. And you don't have to be contained by anything. You can truly give yourself permission to live a life that continuously surprises you with the way that everything is connected and with the way that everything works together, and that there's actually a beautiful process happening that we're just missing because we're so focused on what is right and doing the right thing and conforming and fitting in with social norms and compromise, and those are the things that we don't want. And it's time now that we start saying no. Because boundaries mean that you need to say no. You need to say no first. That's what a boundary is. A boundary is saying this cannot continue, and now I'm saying no because I want change, and if I want change, what I'm doing now needs to discontinue. Because if this does not discontinue, there can be no change. If something does not discontinue, then don't deny and don't deceive yourself. There will be no change. If you want change, you need to discontinue what you're doing. There's no other way. So, if you are sitting here with me this morning, thank you. And you're welcome to share the recordings because I'm always thinking I don't want to bother people with the things that I share. But these days I do share things that is important to listen to. So if you think it's not, that's okay. But if you do, please share the recordings with people that you think can benefit. Because it's a very relaxed space on a Sunday morning to just come and chill. It's not going to challenge you. People are so scared of work these days. But to get to know yourself is an investment. It's not work. Because there are always trapped emotions that's at the root cause of many of the issues in every area of your life. Now, what is trapped emotions? Trapped emotions is in many instances trauma. And we can experience trauma by slamming, our finger in the door, which we all did when we were children. That's a very traumatic moment. Not only is it, it's not really that painful because the mind switches off when there's extreme pain. But it's the shock of it that creates the adrenaline. So we have so many trapped emotions. And it's the root cause of many issues in every area of our lives, of your life, of my life, in health, in finances, in relationships. And do not underestimate the burden of trapped emotions because it's the trapped emotion, it's trapped, it's energy in motion, but it's trapped in your body. So it's energy that is trapped in your body that is going to have an effect on how you manage and how you express this thing. Sadhguru always says this machine, this thing, this body, because it is a thing, it is a machine, it is all those things, but it's your body, and you're only ever going to have this body once only. And in this body, you can only ever experience what this body offers you. Having been born through these parents, having this, being raised in this culture, having this set of fingerprints, everything only happens once in this form. So consider that every day when you live. Live it as if you are living it only for that once, because it's true. Even if you go to work every day, you only live that day once. It's never going to repeat. And when you start living it with that kind of attitude, of context, life becomes a beautiful experience. You do not underestimate the burden of trapped emotions because you're dealing with them. You're sitting here this morning, you're coming to see and you're dealing, you're up vibing, you're energizing, you're giving yourself the necessary fuel, the necessary connectedness so that you can manage your life, that life can work for you. Life wants to roll out the red carpet for you. And for many people, the red carpet is simply just living an easy life. The red carpet is just having enough. The red carpet is just being able to sit and watch a tree that's growing after the rain, that's been dormant for six months. Just didn't look like it was alive. Perhaps we have cycles like that too. Maybe not for 6 months or 6 years or a lifetime, but maybe for a short period in order to know that we don't have to suffer like that. That it's not about duality at all, but it's simply about the knowingness that we don't need to choose the one over the other. We can just be what works for us. Because for some people it really works to be miserable. Misery loves company. They just love to be miserable and they love to feel suffering and they love to feel, being a victim, and they love it because it gives them a lot of mileage. in terms of attention, in terms of, because as from a very young age, they learned that that's the way you get attention. By having things going wrong with you. But you are here right now because a part of you is telling you that you need to consider a deeper level of divine balance in your life. And I'm using the word balance because when we go within, that balance needs to be still. There's no movement, it's a stillness. When you are outside, you need to be in equilibrium because there must always be some kind of movement. Because if there isn't, there's only death. Or you become inanimate. You become, a dead piece of wood. And even in that, there's movement. Because in a dead piece of wood, there would be insects eating it. So in every aspect of life, there's always some form of movement. But when you go deeper, when you go to the level of the divine balance offers stillness. And in this stillness, you experience the most profound inner peace in this human form. And that inner peace is indestructible, and it's untouchable, and it's unforgettable. A place where you restore emotional calm and indescribable inner peace of a profound sense of bliss. In spite of the stuff that you have to deal with every day, because you're not going to escape that. You're living here on earth. But your life beautifully changes in a brand new manner. You get a new direction. It's exciting. It's with pleasant surprises that supports your well-being. Jung calls it synchronicity. And now it's said that the synchronicity is because you yourself are holding that symbolic reference in terms of encountering more of the same, because the mind works by association. And that's probably what, you meant with synchronicity in this context. But synchronicity for me is having a recurring dream about Boston and standing in Mr. Price. I never go into Mr. Price. It's not a place that I shop because they don't have my size. But now they do. I was pleasantly surprised to find out. I bought a lovely shirt and a beautiful dress with pockets at Mr. Price. So there you go. And it said Boston. So, I was meant to be at Mr. Price. So to have this new direction, to have this excitement with pleasant surprises that support your well-being, where you start literally living the language of synchronicity, which is a communion, a communication that's taking place with you that you certainly cannot order, that you cannot instigate or plan or put out there in a conscious manner. I certainly can't put out in a conscious manner that I'm walking into a Mr. Price that I never walk into and find a Boston t-shirt and that's the first thing I see as I open, not on the front rail, so I'm scratching in the back rail, and I open the shirt and it says Boston. No, that I can't instigate. I can't actually put that there. Something else is guiding that. And many authors speak about that. Greg Braden talks about that. The universal field. There's a field, the mundus imaginalis. There's a field between us where all these things become possible because of the relatedness that we have with what we are interacting with. And that is feeling alive, centered, and in equilibrium. And it's the most amazing way to live your life. It's not about stuff. It's not about accumulation. It's not about what you have. You can have, everything that you possibly want. You can have, everything your heart desires. That's wonderful, but that's not what gives you this alignment. This feeling aligned, center, and in equilibrium is the most amazing way to live your life. But it comes from an internal divine balance. And that balance cannot be taught to you. That balance is something that you're going to find because you live your life in a certain way. You have certain standards, you have certain values, and life sees that. And life relates to that energy because life cares for life and life ensures its own continuation. So when it sees that in you, it recognizes its own continuation and it will support that. You will always have enough. You will always be taken care of. You will always have enough. You will always be taken care of. Relax. When you know who you are and you know that you're a good person, you know that you can relax into enjoying what you already have. I'm not saying that you need to stop being self-sufficient or that you need to talk yourself out of being, good to yourself, because it's good to work. It's good to be busy. One cannot wish for the day that one doesn't have to work anymore because that's not how it works here. We must work in order to earn our keep. We earn our keep. Just like the little birds outside, I watch them when they feed at the bird feeder. They work for that food. They are constantly moving and fighting for their little spot, and they work for that food. And that energy is shared with Mother Nature. That's how they repay their free meals, because they exert so much energy and they generate so much energy for nature. So feeling aligned, center, and in equilibrium is the most amazing way to live life, because there's a process of energizing that is happening that you cannot describe in words. It's the most wonderful feeling. We refer to that as bliss in terms of our semantics, but it's really just a feeling of being so upvibed and so energized that you literally feel like you can walk on air and that you can do anything. It's an amazing way to live life because you don't need to know how. The how will be shown you. You just need to trust yourself, and you need to live your life in a way that is dignified and that is in honor of your own word, because your word is your honor. If people cannot rely on your word, what have you become? Because it's through the word that we include others into our reality. And if our word is sacred, the experience of life becomes a sacred one, just like when you look at your eyes when you look at life with the eyes of beauty, when your glasses becomes beautiful. These lenses only shows me beauty. When I look at my life with the eyes of beauty, my life becomes a beautiful experience. Because beauty is all that I can see, as Don Miguel Ruiz writes in his book, The Four Agreements. When you let go of the negative things that you so keep, the traumas, what did I call it in the start of the session? I said, and I want to find the exact words that I said. There are always trapped emotions at the root cause of many issues in every area of your life. Trapped emotions. That is the root cause. It's the source for many issues in every area of your life. Finances, career, jobs, relationships, siblings, children, and the list goes on. It's just one demand after the other. But feeling aligned, centered, and in equilibrium is the most amazing way to live your life. But you need to invest in yourself. And when you let go of the negative things that you so fight to keep, some of you even going to real wars, you fight to keep those things, those negative things. You defend them with excuses. And when you make a lot of excuses, somewhere in you there's a denial, because you're making excuses because you're in denial. Because when you stop making excuses and you stop the denial and you accept what's going on, you admit it because it's yours. What is the common denominator? You. Denial is currently the most severe form of habits on this planet. This earth is in constant denial about some or other thing. And it's the most severe form of habits. Habits are the things we repeated and still repeat that we dislike about ourselves, and those things that you feel that you're just trapped in, that you just can't get out of. You know those things? Yeah. I'm just using, because please, I'm a reborn breather. I'm just using this as an example. A smoker, for instance, so want to give up smoking, but just cannot. Because they cannot, because there is a belief that says this cannot be done. Because the mind goes, where the mind goes, the body follows. It's a belief that starts with a thought that says, I can never stop smoking. And the belief that it cannot be done, that inability is the denial. I cannot stop eating sugar. And I'm not judging you. I'm sitting there myself. I teach best what I need to learn most. But when I wrote this last night, and it was late because, there was all these interruptions, and then I'm sitting, should I go out? Should I run and take my bin out? What must I do? And I thought, no, man, pay somebody to take it for you this week, because why must I run out there 9:30 at night, woman by myself, with a bin, opening my gate? And no, I'm discerning. No, I'm not being sidetracked and manipulated into things that I wouldn't normally do. Denial is currently the most severe form of habits. And habits are the things that we repeated and still repeat that we dislike about ourselves. Like when you're smoking and you say, I know that I can never stop. And it's not about that you can never stop. I mean, I haven't smoked a cigarette for many, many years, and I still think of smoking, and I still want a cigarette when I see other people smoke, and I think, oh, that looks so nice. Smoker never becomes a non-smoker. Only in your actions, in your deeds, but not here. So that inability that you believe that you have is a denial, because there is always a way. And everything where you have a choice and a will that apply, everything is possible. Anything and everything is possible. Your power of your mind is infinitely, immeasurably, infinitely powerful. And you're squandering it by these denials that you cultivate since you were very little, and that instills habits in you that is really driven by beliefs that you I cannot do this, I can't take this anymore, I can't carry on, I can't deal with this, I can't handle these people, I can't. No, you can. But you can do it with a different attitude, because you're doing it with an attitude of a child that's being forced to eat broccoli when they don't like it. You're not a child anymore, you're an adult. And you don't have to go into those kind of moping, I have to do this attitudes, especially when it's things that we don't feel like. I've got to go do this now. No, when I've got to go pick up the dog poop, I go pick up the dog poop, because the dog poop needs picking up. That's an interesting one. I've got to pick up the dog poop because the dog poop is there, because the dog poop is there, and then the dog poop needs picking up. I nearly tripped over the end there. You know, why I always think of dog poop is a misery. It's a mystery, a misery mystery. So the inability is the denial. And it's the denial because there's always a way. And when you accept what is, and please go read a lot of Eckhart Tolle because he writes a lot about it. He writes a lot about it. When you accept what is, that's the moment of your power. Then there is a transcendence. And when that transcendence happens, that's when you ascend. Because it's a transcendence and elevation somehow that is both pleasing and exciting. And it's a place of equilibrium because there's an equal exchange of energy. There's an equal exchange of energy between a stick tree and the rain. And when that equal exchange of energy happens, there's growth and there's this amazing prosperity and beauty, absolute beauty. The most beautiful, soft green with little bits of brown in it. It's like a painting. And I wrote here, when I wrote this last night, I sat and I closed my eyes and I went into this symbolic register, this symbolism that talks to me through the pictures that my own mind is showing me on this inner screen that I have. And I saw this sacred dance of pivotal relatedness. It's like a sacred dance, but it's like those rocks that you see in the desert, that these massive, massive rocks that stands on something that you can't see. You know, it's just standing there. And it's been standing there for hundreds of years, but it's there's one in Namibia, I think they call it God's finger. It's like the massive, massive tons and tons and tons and tons of rock that's standing on this tiny little, I don't know, little stone. It's a place of equilibrium. It's a sacred dance of pivotal relatedness where there's just this amazing equilibrium and exchange of energy. I keep you upright. We're doing this amazing, amazing movement, rhythm. Have you danced like that? When no one is watching. Not with your body in here. Do you give yourself permission to have 10 minutes a day where you just go dance in here with yourself and you become so free in your soul to just be, infinitely be, just for 10 minutes a day, not being part of this form that you're encountering, all the stuff that surrounds you that you must have. I'm asking you to give yourself 10 minutes a day. That's all. In the Truthy class on Tuesdays, we're doing it at the moment, 10 minutes a day. And there are people that continue with it and that make that 10 minutes a priority every day. It's fantastic. And if you just make it 10 minutes a day 3 times a week, that's even great. And if you make it 10 minutes a day once a week, that's wonderful. But start, begin to give yourself just that 10 minutes. And 10 because that's where we live in. Decimal, everything is 10. It's 1 and 0. It's binary. It's a binary code. So 10 minutes a day. And then you go dance like no one is watching. And then you find an innate sense of youth and oneness and a deep sense of compliance. That's how it is. This place requires compliance. It's called rules. But it's all about compliance because you must give your cooperation, your willingness, being available, having the capacity. You must be a contributing factor for it to work. If you are not sitting here this morning, I would be talking to myself, which I do anyway, but it's nice to have company, especially when you choose to live like a recluse like I do. So it's lovely to have company. Even if I can't see you, I'm still talking to the wall. So when you are ready and you know You know, I always say, Mama C knows, because when you know, you know. And when you are ready and you know, you risk and you let go of the negative baggage, the blame, the guilt, the self-loathing, the shame, feeling ashamed, and compromise. And that's the step. It comes first with blame, so that you must feel guilt, so that you must feel self-loathing, that, oh, why me? Why should it be? Why should I be the one that's not living? Cancel. I don't even want to say it. But, why should I have and somebody else doesn't have? There's a reason for that. Because life sees you. And life sees what you represent, and life is supporting you to have. Otherwise, you won't have. And that's why I want to talk to you this morning about. I'm going to share with you a few more ascension symptoms, but I want to talk to you about a concept which I came across by Wes Beavers. He's an American author. When I was in the United States to go and study quantum physics and spirituality. And, these things find me, but he talks about appreciating people. So I want to share that with you this morning in the context of what we're talking about here. Because the reason why we need to consider depreciating people and becoming people that are depreciating, and you'll see in the context that it's being shared, because it's time to let go of your negative baggage. And baggage can come in many forms. It can come in a person who's just simply draining your energy. They surround you and they're messaging you, but it's always, they're always draining your energy. So you've got to be careful. So when you are ready and you know and you risk and you let go of negative baggage, pain and guilt and self-loathing and feeling ashamed and feeling shame about what you did or who you be, then you compromise yourself. And when you compromise yourself, you will always, always feel resentful. Resentment is because there was a compromise somewhere. You can go and have a look, and resentment is uncontested 99% of the time. It's something that you feel, but you don't act on it. So you feel pissed off, you feel angry, you feel resentful. You resent what's going on because it's something that it's going against your grain. That's compromise. You do it under duress. So the steps of manipulation, succeeding, is this what I'm sharing: blame, and then guilt, and then self-loathing, and then compromise. So, you should loathe yourself because you have and I don't. Really? I've worked for what I have, and I work very, very hard for it. And I work many, many long hours for it. That's why I have it. And why do I work? Because I created it. I didn't fall in my lap. I had to go make it happen. And in a very difficult way too. And sometimes it's never easy, but it's effortless when you have the willingness. And the steps of manipulation is succeeding everywhere. Those people coming here last night, and I have great sympathy, and I heard the voice. I was standing in my bedroom and I heard the voice. The voice said, "You will collect all the rubbish today, and you will not come back to the depot unless your work is done." Because that's the way to deal with certain level of employment. You do this job until the job is done. Because people don't work and they don't work and they don't work and they don't every excuse possible, and they sabotage and they don't work, and then it becomes a crisis, and then one has to be ruthless, because otherwise it's not going to get done. I heard the voice, and I knew by that time my bin was inside, and I knew that they would be coming, and I still said to myself, "Oh, come on, you are crazy. It's 8:30 at night. 10:30 at night. There's no way." They came. The first time in my whole life, and I'm pushing 70, they came, and I heard the voice. And that is how life is talking now. So the step of manipulation, wonderful that you're doing your work, and I was honoring them, but I'm not part of that picture. It's not part of my reality. So manipulation is always about control. And you now need to look how often you force control in your life to feel secure. And when you force control to feel secure, you are going to regret it. Because where you force control to secure, you're going to be the one who's going to be controlled by what you deem to be controlling. Because controlling security is not something that is synonymous. Control does not give you security. There's very little security on earth because there's no the unknown, there's no time and space. The unknown offers you anything and it never happens the way you think. Let me tell you that's true. I live it. To lose my centeredness, the pivotal aspect of alignment, when I lose it, it's associated with a negative vibe. So regaining your balance is also needed here in the physical plane, because if you stumble and fall or you trip over, you need to regain your balance, because it's balance that keeps you upright. You may not register that it's balanced, but your little toe is even part of the balancing act. I didn't know if you know that, but your little toe is one of the most important aspects of staying, upright. But it's also what tells you where the furniture is when it's load shedding. Especially when you've got big rocks in the passage so that the dogs don't run the market, the carpets are knock. So balance is not a place when you stay in that stuckness, when you're losing your centeredness. But the balance that you seek, so you regain your balance and now you keep going again, because balance is a temporary state on the outside. Because things must move. They can't, when they stay still, they die. So balance is the stillness inside you, but to actually gain your balance in life, it's a temporary position, and then you keep moving. But losing your centeredness is a great opportunity to ascend and grow, to show you the pathways to the next level. But in order for you to attain the next level, you've got to learn to say no. You've got to learn to say no to yourself to stay in bed when you know you want to go to the gym. You've got to say no to yourself when you know that you want to eat a cream cake and you know that right now you're on a healthy diet and your body is needing nourishment over eating rubbish. It may taste very nice, but it's certainly short-lived. And the interesting thing is, when you provide for yourself and you don't feel deprived, it's there. You can eat it if you want it. But you don't need to feel deprived about it. Then the want for it and the need to have it goes away. Then you rather have a fruit because it's more exciting. It's exciting to peel it. It's exciting to look at the actual. I mean, if I look at this slice of grapefruit, it's gorgeous. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Look at its colors. And there's so much to discover when you look at your life with the eyes of beauty. So losing your centeredness is a great opportunity to ascend and grow, which is the ascension symptoms that we're going through. They're perhaps a bit uncomfortable initially because putting baggage down means that you now register how much weight you've been carrying. And the pathways that is there to discover is so exciting and so wonderful and so brilliant. As I'm sharing, examples with you from my own life, because we need to listen to each other to know what's available. Because most of the time, you don't know that you don't know. And if you don't know that you don't know, you can't go find it. It's got to find you. That's how it works. If you don't know that you don't know, it's got to find you. And that's the real gift. So no matter what you're feeling now, know there is a purpose and a teaching that your conscious mind may not be able to understand. Even if you read about it and you're very learned about it, you may still not understand it. And the understanding is basically the thing that people pay a lot of money for, to be able to say they understand the subject. Understanding is not a prerequisite. It's a reward. When you gain understanding, you're being rewarded. You know, we're living in an age of unreason, but the purpose in the unreason of reality, what we're living, teaches your mind that it's the fact that you don't understand, it's okay. Because you can't find a reason for anything. It's unreason. Coming to fetch the rubbish at 9:30 at night for me is unreason. But I can, I can relate to it. And now I have understanding. But it's not convenient for me, so I don't have to be part of that reality. So the purpose in the unreason of reality teaches your mind that not to understand is okay. But you must, however, accept what is, because that's what is. The fact that you don't like it, that you don't agree with it, that it's not your truth, that it's not, doesn't matter. You've got to accept it because that's they were at 10:30, 9:30, 10:30, I don't even know anymore. But it was late and I accept it. And I'm complaining about it and I'm using it as an example, but I need a physical example to illustrate to you what I'm saying. So collectively, we are all experiencing a lot of changes that are taking our very own essence and ability to align to your unique life assignment to new levels. And if you are not available, you don't have the willingness, you're not available, you don't have the capacity to be taken to new levels, life's not going to force you. It's really okay. But then don't compare yourself to someone who is doing so, because their life is going to reflect it. And people don't like to see that. And they don't like to put in the work. Because I see how people are using excuses not to do the work. And not to keep their agreements with themselves. Because they want to save money. But they're going to spend that money on liquor, or they're going to spend it on something that is not going to serve them. Because you will always have enough. But when you stop skimping, when you start skimping on the way that you indulge and reinforce yourself, and you need to do it with greatest discernment, great discernment. You don't entrust your soul to anyone, and you certainly don't spill your soul on social media. I used to write a blog. I don't anymore because I don't want to spill my soul on paper. Because if I write, it comes from my soul. I'm not going to spill it out there on social media. Perhaps I can, but I don't want to. I really respect myself. So those who want to hear what I have to say will come sit in my space. They'll make themselves available to listen to it. It's not for the masses. how many? 11, 10 of you today. And myself, 10. What a fabulous number. Oof, I'm honored. So collectively, we are all experiencing a lot of changes that we are testing. It's testing our very own essence and our ability to remain aligned to that unique life assignment that is yours. And in order to restore and revitalize emotional equanimity, you need to be able to go within. And you must give yourself a space in which to do it. Go within is not reading a book, it's not listening to music. Go within to be able to release the trauma is to work on your life. And you must find, that's why I'm offering 2 free sessions a month, where you can come and sit. And I used to send people recordings, but I'm not going to do that anymore unless I get someone who asks me for the recording, then I'll give it to them. But I'm not going to share it anymore. So it's best to come in person because then you receive the value. Your soul is listening. Your soul is not in the present moment when you're listening to a recording. We now have to deal with the screen as it is, but be present. That's how we receive truth. Through synchronicity, be present. And realize in the times that we're living in order to realize, to restore and revitalize that emotional equanimity, you need to be able to go within with guidance and to discover your emotional blocks and to release them, because unfortunately they are continuously formed. You don't get to a place where you now say, now I've done it. All is a choice. And we live by duality. So everything for us is a choice in duality. So I want to share with you the last few. I think I'm going to read from number 20 because there's a few more that I'd like to share with you. So, anxiety and panic. Your ego is losing much of itself and it's afraid. Your system is also on overload. Things are happening to you that you may not understand. You are also losing behavior patterns of a lower vibration that you developed for survival in 3D. This may make you feel exposed and powerless. And let me tell you, we all feel exposed and powerless several times a day. These patterns and behaviors you are losing are not needed in the higher realms. This will pass and you will eventually feel so much love, safety, and unity. Just wait. Depression. The outer world may not be in alignment with the new. Just spoke about alignment. The outer world may not be in alignment with the new higher vibrational you. Your vibration is increasing. Is a new you. A you that didn't exist before. It doesn't feel so good out there because you're not in alignment. And you may also be releasing lower, darker energies that you are seeing through them now. You are just, your appreciation changes. Hang in there. Vivid, wild, and sometimes violent dreams. You're releasing many, many lifetimes of lower vibrational energies, and many are now reporting that they are experiencing beautiful dreams. Your dream state will eventually improve and you will enjoy your dreams like it's something to look forward to. Some experiencing this release, this release through even when they awake. And it may catch them unawares, and it may make them feel anxious and panicky because they don't know what's going on. But they're releasing. Next, night sweats and hot flashes. My body burns up at night as it heats up, burning off the residue of the energies that we build up. Your plans suddenly change in midstream and go in a completely different direction. I mean, I had a truth class for Tuesday night. Now I have a master class. You know, we just get given these last minute arrangements, and whether you like it or not, you must change. Otherwise, too bad. It counts against you. Your soul is balancing out your energy. Suddenly change midstream means that you're balancing out energy. It means that you need to go into a place where, in spite of what's presented to you, you can balance out your energy. In spite of what the mind by association wants you to believe, you find another space within yourself that's beyond thought. Your soul knows more than you do. It's breaking your rut choices, your habit choices, your denial. Because when you need to deal with what is, there's no space for denial. You need to deal with what is, that's it. No space for denial. Next, you've created a situation that seems like your worst nightmare, with many worst nightmare aspects to it. Your soul is guiding you into stretching into aspects of yourself where you were lacking, or into toning down aspects where you had an overabundance. Your energy is just balancing itself. Finding your way to peace through this situation is the test you have set up for yourself. This is your journey, and your soul would not have set it up if you weren't ready. Your soul would not give you these experiences if you were not ready for them. If you weren't ready, you are the one who finds your way out, and you will. There's a part of you that can handle it. That's about being ready. Life will never give you more than you can handle. That's why you're ready. Looking back, you will have gratitude for the experience and for being a different person, because you're not going to be the same. Lead into gold. Next, deep soul connection to people who are strangers, a feeling of belonging and safety. Number 28, relationships of deep and profound meaning with the most unlikely people. Next, spiking of your energy. Last night I was so energized, there was no ways that I wanted to go sleep. I was writing this process, and I was active, and I was having such a good time. Didn't want to go to sleep. I think I got to bed at 1 o'clock or after. A deep knowingness that it's okay to trust what you feel. It's more than okay. Even if it makes no sense and you don't understand it. There's a deep knowingness that it's okay to trust what you feel, even if it makes no sense. There is no reason to not like or trust a person, but something inside you just will not allow it. Trust it. Even if there's no reason for you not to like or trust a person. They're really sweet, they're really nice, they're really cute, but there's something inside you that just will not allow it. I've only experienced it with 2 people in my life that I really can say. Actually, a few more now that I think about it. Fortunately, they're not in my space anymore because they always made me feel so creepy. And they were such lovely people. There's no reason not to like or trust them. But something inside me would just not allow it. So it's now going to become necessary, just looking at the time, it's now going to become necessary to depreciate people in order to offer respect. Because respect, dignity, and honor are the most important emotions that we need to subscribe to here on earth. Because respect, honor, and dignity is not, and respect, honor, and dignity has no, you can have respect, honor, and dignity in the mafia. They have their own rules. That's how this place operates. It's got universal rules for everyone, and then it's got pockets of rules. This school's got different rules to that school, and this hospital's got different hospitals to that clinic, and it's all about rules. But we need to respect them, we need to honor ourselves within that system, and we also need to have dignity for what we represent and what we contribute. Dignity means that we stand proud, that we're an example, and we can belong. So respect others for where they are. That's the most important thing. So I want to read to you. I will be expanding on the notes, but I'm reading this. Depreciating people. In the first kilometer of owning a new car, the value of the car drops by 25%. Over the following years, the car continues to depreciate in value. When you stop to think about it, people can have the same depreciating quality. The value of their life diminishes over time. This is how it happens. For some reason, the gravitational pull of life is towards negativity. If we don't make a conscious decision to override this natural inclination, then we have naturally become negative, and we grow up with negative reinforcement. Even with my animals, it's just no this, no this, no, 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 no. You can't have that, no, no, no. And they're still puppies. But no is also the source of your boundaries. So no is an element which we don't need to consider as negative reinforcement. It just means that that's not an option. But we become so negative, we'll find ourselves being more at home with fear than faith, more comfortable with doubt than trust, and more able to criticize than praise. The problem with these negative traits is that they cannot grow positive results. Like attracts like. It's a scientific fact and a rule. That is not negotiable. It's how it works at quantum level. Quantum level is only affected by energy, not by anything else. So if we submit to the gravitational pull of negative thoughts and actions, the end result is that we find our value diminishing because of the way we think and live our lives. Having a negative disposition means we are gradually losing the ability to add value to life, and with each passing day, we lose ground. losing ground is a real thing. You can see people losing ground all around you. It's like they're losing the tread, they're losing their grip. There are two maybe obstacles too that we must overcome in order to become prosperous. Because really that's what our life is all about, is the ability to experience prosperity. Because in prosperity, we feel good and we aspire to prosperity in everything that we do, even if we may not think so. The first major obstacle is to confront our own depreciating tendencies and to overcome them. Because you depreciate yourself at the drop of a hat, at the whim. Depreciate, depreciate, depreciate. Telling yourself how you are less. The second real obstacle to overcome is the influence of depreciating people around you. You can easily tell when you are under the influence of a depreciating people, of an appreciating peeps, of an appreciating person. You have, when you, this experience, when you leave their presence, you feel empty. You feel pessimistic and you think less of yourself. On the other hand, when you leave the presence of an appreciating person, of a person who shares equal exchange, who appreciates, you feel more valuable and positive. You sense that the appreciating person has added value to your life. You know, if you want prosperity in your life, you must escape from the influence of your depreciating people. In some instances, such as the case of a depreciating spouse or family member, you may not be able to escape their presence, but you can always escape their influence. So let's look at a few ways of escaping this influence, because we are all exposed to it. Number one, release them. Release them. Many people have power in our lives only because we have appointed them to that position of influence. Each of us have the right to choose our own advisors. If there is someone in your life who makes you miserable, misery loves company, remember that. If there's someone in your life who makes you miserable, it's because you have given them the right to influence you this way. Regardless of what they are doing to make you irritable, your response is still your choice. But he makes me so mad, you say. No, that's not true. He just provides the right conditions. You decide to be mad in response to those conditions. The more you react, the more you reinforce their power in your life. I didn't write this. This found me to share with you today when I asked for guidance. So I trust that you are listening. Otherwise you won't be sitting here. It's really easily achieved, but it's rarely easy. But unless we escape their influence, we will never rise above them. Consider what Dr. David Schwartz said. Release them, or you will start to resemble them. Release them, or you will start to resemble them. When you want to change someone else, you become who you are not. Simply retire the depreciating person from your board of directors and install an appreciating person in their place. Wonderful, isn't it? How effortless is that? May not be easy, but it's effortless when you do it. The energy just. Number 2, recognize their area of expertise. I had breakfast with a businessman who recently who relayed to me this experience. He had offered a business opportunity to a man named Simon, who expressed enthusiastic interest. Having covered all the details, they made an appointment to meet again at a later date, thus giving Simon the opportunity to share the idea with his wife. When they got together again, it was obvious to my friend that Simon had completely cooled on the business venture. Amusing, but also assuming that Simon's wife was not in agreement. My friend asked what it was about the proposal his wife didn't like. And Simon said, "Oh, it's not my wife. She's okay with the idea. But I talked it over with my dad. And he said that it was a waste of time and told me I should not get involved." My friend was astute and asked, "Simon, tell me, what does your father do for a living?" Simon's reply was that his dad was a mechanic. He then asked, "Simon, is it possible that your dad's expertise does not extend to understanding this business?" Simon concurred that while his dad was an excellent automotive engineer, he did not have any level of expertise in relation to the business venture that Simon was considering. Many people will accept the depreciating advice from their family members out of respect for them, even though they may not have any level of expertise upon which to base their judgments. We can easily miss out on great opportunities because we gain our counsel from the wrong people. Evaluate the person's expertise to be commenting on a particular issue. They might be well-intentioned in their counsel, but not experienced enough for their counsel to be wise. The next time you are tempted to take the advice of a naysayer, look at their lives and ask yourself if you want to become like them. By taking their advice, you set yourself on the road to becoming like them. Postscript. Simon joined the business and has become so successful that he will be able to retire before his father. Next, realize that you cannot bat someone else's ball game. Realize that you cannot bat someone else's ball game. The sad reality is that not all depreciating people want to be supported or helped. Submission to the gravitational pull of negativity is easier than fighting to override it. Because sometimes it's going to take a bit of work to override the pull of gravity. Improving life requires work, which some could not be bothered doing. And most cannot be bothered doing it. Because I sent out nearly 40 invites for this session. and only 10 arrive. Most cannot be bothered. It is perplexing to watch someone gifted and full of potential let their lives go to waste. Yet there is nothing we can do to help them unless they're willing to change their behavior and thinking. You cannot force positive change upon people. If that were possible, our prison rehabilitation programs would work wonderfully. Many people become stalled on their journey to prosperity because they are trying to become everybody's savior. To reach out and help someone is noble. To help someone more than they want to be helped is foolish. There is a saying, don't try and teach a baboon to sing. It will frustrate you and annoy the heck out of the baboon. Stop batting other people's ball games for them. It achieves little in the short term and does nothing in the long run. Release yourself from the notion that you are everybody's savior. You are not being cold-hearted by abandoning misguided nobility. The pseudo is the misguided. They don't come out and show themselves. They have a pseudo personality. Misguided. Even the greatest physician of them all first ask the question, do you want to be well? Do you want to function well? Do you want to feel wellness? Wellness is only found in we-ness, not in I. That's illness. So if a person really wants to move forward, by all means, support them to get back on their feet. This is the best thing to do. The unwise thing to do, however, is to solve other people's problems for them. I'm not talking about being an advisor in business. I'm talking about wanting them to do as you say. My way or the highway. All this will do is cause you despair over the results and lead you to becoming cynical about yourself and about people. Do not live for the approval of others. Now this comes already from the 1600s, 1700s by Epictetus. So do not live for the approval of others. This sounds wrong, doesn't it? You may be thinking, if I don't have the approval of my boss, I'll lose my job. Or if I don't seek the approval of my friends, I will lose them. Or if I don't seek the approval of my landlord, I might lose my home. Or if I don't seek the approval of my customers, I might lose them. Wrong, wrong, wrong. If you base your life on gaining the approval of others, what happens? You become like a poll-driven politician. Like social media, based on the likes and the followers, whose decisions are determined by what would gain the approval of most people. What must I post on Facebook so that everybody will like it and I'll get a lot of approval? I don't post it on that basis. I post it for that one person who needs to read that message. That one person. You become someone who twists and turns in order to gain people's favor. And in a way of life, that does work to a certain degree. But it is awful and insecure to live such a life. Because it's insecure, because you're never going to please everybody and you're always going to feel like a failure. And when you feel like a failure, you're feeling unsure and you're insecure. You are always attempting to read other people's minds because you are constantly busy assuming. And you change yourself to suit their ever-changing whims, even if it's just what you assume they want. Don't act a certain way in order to be liked. This is simply being manipulating. Instead, act according to your principles. For example, I'll always do my best to be productive in the tasks that is entrusted to me and to be encouraging to my fellow man. With my example, a sacred standards that delivers extraordinary values in life because I honor myself and I respect myself and I walk my path with dignity. And what does that dignity mean? It means I can go stand now if there's such a thing as having to speak of my life. And I'll speak of my life with dignity because I know who I am. And I know what energy I represent and what I contribute with my life. Even to my animals. I'm extremely strict with them and they get hiding if they're naughty. And even the chicken knows. But it's an understanding of honor, dignity, and respect. Not negotiable. If this is a principle that you live by, then you need not anguish over whether your boss likes you. And your boss moves, and if your boss should move on. Living by this principle means that you need not worry about appealing to the favor of the new boss in order to keep your job. Because you're doing a great job. You're not there for the boss. Personalities will always change, but sound principles and great standards do not. Your greatness in action. Be principle driven. Be driven by the deep standards and values that you hold in the way that you live your life and that your life cares for you. Choose friends based on your principles. My dad always used to say, choose the company that you keep with care because it can cost you your life. Choose friends based on your principles. Work according to your principles. Make business transactions according to your principles. What are the principles that you hold? Principle being the one that leads, the authority, the one who calls the shot. The things that dictate your life, your priorities. You will find going a lot easier. Things will be a lot easier and prosperity will flow more easily to you when you live by the eternal principles. The eternal principles that I call the laws of creation, they cannot be changed because that's the way on which everything rests and how everything works. A tree that knows that when it rains, it may grow. It must feel the rain on it, falling on it. It must feel it saturating the earth for its roots. What a wonderful exchange of energy. So when you live by these eternal principles, you have the approval of the creative energies of life. It is inevitable that life cares for life. Excuse me. We're almost done. Yeah, so we'll finish in time today. So, last but not least, seek the company of appreciating people. The more time you spend associating with appreciating people, the less time you will be spending under the influence of people who are losing value. This in itself is going to bring about radical change. Yet there is more. Spending time with appreciating people causes you to absorb their values and view of life. If you put a group of people in a room who do not know each other. Given enough time, each will gravitate to others like themselves. It is amazing to watch how non-producers will naturally gravitate to the company of other non-producers, and how critics will find other critics, and how dreamers will be attracted to other dreamers. If you want a life of prosperity, you must seek out dynamic people and do all you can to be in their company. When I was playing basketball recently, no, that's not me. No, this is the person who wrote this, just for the record. So when I was playing basketball seriously, I discovered an interesting principle at work. Occasionally, I would have the opportunity to play with the team outside of my grade level if they were a player short. When there was an opening with a team in a lower grade, I would see it as an opportunity to have my superior abilities shine. Yet, it hardly worked out that way. I would inevitably play scrappy and would often be the one who fell out of the game. It seemed that sinking to the level of the other players was easier than lifting them up to my level of ability. Because that's what it's necessary. You must bring people up to where you are, not the other way around. Inversely, whenever I joined a team of a higher grade, I would surprise myself by keeping up with them. Yo, do I do that often in other aspects of my life? I surprise myself by keeping up with them. The better players brought out the better player in me. This helped me to realize that our environment can make all the difference in how we perform. That's the we-ness, the wellness. When we shift from the I to the we, recognizing that we all are in it together, that we all need to have this aligned communication, that we need to find a space in which we can again look and see ourselves in a mirror. And that is what I offer you here. In the one-on-one sessions that I offer as well, it's just a mirror. And it's not just a mirror, it's your mirror. It's a mirror in which you see the truth of your being. And you should have that on a regular basis. And invest in yourself where you can see who you are. Let those who have the eyes to see, and let those who have the ears to hear. You can have major influence over your importance. You can have major influence over your performance by simply being more astute in choosing your environment. Take the initiative in building relationship with the best people, not just the right people. The best people. Choose to be with people who bring out your best performance. Prosperity comes more readily to those who do. Respect, honor, and dignity. With willingness, availability, and capacity. Because you're capable. You can. I trust that you feel very energized after our session today. And thank you so much for coming to sit with me. It's always wonderful to actually share the space with you. And now in closing, I'm going to share a quick little meditation, 2 minutes to close the session. And if you're going to drive a car after this, please always remember to ground yourself. So this is an exercise in creating peace within. You can use this exercise whenever you feel anxiety, concern, or indecision. Sit quietly on a chair or on the floor in a relaxed position and breathe deeply and quietly. It's always in the breath. So you breathe in a way that your body can feel that you're now going into deeper spaces. It's a sign. It's a trigger. It's a door. It's an opening. And you breathe deeply and quietly, and you close your eyes and you relax your body. And you still the emotions and you quiet the mind. Reach up in consciousness to your higher self. Reach up in consciousness to your higher self, your source, the divine within. And there contact the quality of peace. Imagine a quiet, peaceful lake. Be aware of a feeling of calm, like this peaceful, beautiful lake. Smooth, reflecting like a mirror, the beautiful clouds above. Breathe in the peace. Let it flow into your mind, your emotions, your body, and let that peace enfold and infill you and pervade throughout your consciousness. Rest in peace. Rest. Now get in touch with your will and examine your willingness to make the decision and the choice that is right for you. That is your divine and that is your best and that is your highest good. And be aware now that you are above the anxiety and concerns, and ask within yourself, what is the message this anxiety has for me? What is the message in my worry? What is the message in my anxiety? And ask any other question that is appropriate for you at this time. And remember, it's not a mental process. Do not think out the answer. Do not want to understand first. If you are using a mental process, rather reach higher in your consciousness, beyond thought. Allow the answer to come from your higher self, which is deep within you. Wait, be patient for the answer to come. And then when you feel this amazing equanimity, this at easeness, and you have the answers to your questions, be aware that your body is the source of your experience of being human. And now just be at peace with that. Good, that's exactly how you feel it. It's okay, you're being human. Now let that be a divine experience. Be aware of your body, of your present moment consciousness, and just come back into this present moment. And when you're ready, you open your eyes and you go about your usual work with great attitude, with attitude of peace, deepest, profound inner peace. And you affirm, I am the self. I have choice. I'm in charge of my actions and myself and my emotions. The self is I. And the I sees what's in charge. May you have a wonderful 2 weeks until we meet again. Thank you so much for your presence this morning. It was wonderful to share the space with you, and may your life be blessed by it.